And then there's another one from the Nanjing, or Classic of Difficulties. It was written maybe 200 years later, around 100 AD or CE, roughly. And this one says the viscera, so this is the 34th difficulty. The viscera or yin organs store and are the abode of the person's spirit chi. The liver stores the hun or ethereal soul. The lungs store the po or corporeal soul. The heart stores the spirit or Shen. The spleen stores ideas and intelligence or the yi. And the kidneys store the essence and will or the ji. It is worth pointing out, I try my best with the pinyin pronunciations, but I know I don't get them perfect every time, of which I apologize. So basically, looking at the translations from those two texts and also what we sort of refer to them as being in modern day. The hun is your ethereal, heavenly, celestial, dream big soul. It's where you access your grandest dreams. It's unlimited. It's universal chi. So if your hun's working well, you can dream up dreams unlimited. It's also your nervous system and your extrasensory perception. We'll go through all of this in really great detail as we progress through this workshop series. So I think the hun is part of the third workshop, which I think is somewhere around early April from memory. And we'll look at the hun in great detail and the wood archetype in that 3 hours. The Shen is our spirit, soul, or Giovanni likes to call it mind, and it's our mental and creative function. The Shen is basically all of our emotions, our memory, consciousness, thinking, sleep, and all of the spirits combined. And it's our mental and creative function. And that is talked about in our next workshop, along with the fire archetype. The yi is our thought or post-heaven intellect, which is logic, reasoning, and ideas all tied in together. And that one is, I can't even remember the order of them now, but it's obviously coming up in April as well. And when we talk about it, we talk about the spleen and earth archetype, spleen, stomach, earth element archetype, and then also the yi for that 3 hours. The po is our corporeal, grounded, earthly, do big, be big soul. Animalistic instinct, physical strength, and stamina. So it's our grounded earthly soul, but it's not part of our earth element. It's our metal element, but it's our grounded soul. And that's where a dream becomes our action. So we do big, we action our dreams, but then we have to be wu-wei or non-action. We can't act all the time. We have to rest sometimes. We have to switch off sometimes. People that can't sleep because the brain keeps going, they might have a bit of a problem with their po. Could be obviously a lot of other things as well. But when it's time to non-act, it's time to non-act. That's a classic oxymoron, isn't it? But it's brilliant. So do big, be big soul. So po is action when it's time to act, and it's rest when it's time to rest. And so we'll talk about metal archetype and the po in an upcoming workshop. And then the G or willpower, it's courage, it's pre-heaven intellect, it's drive, ambition, spiritual instinct, and essence. So we'll talk about water archetype when we talk about the willpower, and it's all sorts of things there. And the pre-heaven intellect is the intellect that we get from our ancestors and from our parents. So it's knowledge that's given to us. Whereas the post-heaven intellect is the knowledge that we learn using our senses. So that's obviously all our senses and also what we're taught using our brain and things like that as well. But it's things like we look at the sky, and if it's pre-heaven intellect, we just inherently already know that when the sky is blue, that's a blue sky. Or someone teaches us, that's the color blue, that's the color of the sky. We hear it, and it goes in as post-heaven intellect. That type of thing. Classic example of pre-heaven intellect is, I guess the best example I can give is I've owned a number of border collies and blue heelers, Australian cattle dogs over the years, and they have pre-heaven intellect. I bought them from farmers when they were only 6 to 8 to 12 weeks old, and they've not been taught to do anything by the farmer or by their ancestors, by their brothers and sisters and their mums and dads. They are being given to me before they know how to look after cattle, look after sheep, round them up. So the classic thing, it's the most hysterical thing in the world. I bring them home and I've invited friends and family over for barbecues and things like that. And they round up the little children and they round them up and they drive them into the corner of the room. And it's like the kids want to play with these cute little puppies. And then the puppies are jumping around and they're moving from one side to the other. And they herd you and the kids end up in the corner and the kids go, how did I get here? And they kind of push the dogs out of the way and they move back out into the middle of the room. And you watch, next thing you know, the kids are back in the corner again. It's like this pre-heaven intellect that these dogs just inherently round up things. And the little blue heelers, the little buggers, they nip at your heels. So when I've had my blue heelers, I've had like little sharp puppy teeth injuries on my Achilles and on my back of my heel. You know, they get a couple of clips over the head and eventually they learn that's not what you should be doing with people. But that's inherent in them as well. They nip at the sheep's or the cattle's heels to get them to go somewhere, whereas border collies often run backwards and forwards and round you up. It's an absolute classic, but that's a perfect example in a different species of pre-heaven intellect. There is no way they knew how to do that because they were taught it. They knew how to do it because it's inherent in them genetically, which is pre-heaven intellect.